Hello everyone, Joseph Dunphy here, and this is your weekly Grass10 grazing management update on the Dairy Edge. Your PastureBase figures for the week: the average farm cover 742 kilos of dry matter per hectare, the cover per livestock unit up to 251 kilos of dry matter per hectare, the growth is at 47 kilos of dry matter per hectare, and demand roughly the same. Pre-grazing yield has dropped to 1350 kilos of dry matter per hectare, and the diet is roughly 14 kilos of grass, 3.5 kilos of meal, and 1 kilo of silage. Dry matter percentages: Athenry in County Galway recorded 14%, Oak Park in County Carlow 19.5%, Grange in County Meath 15.5%, and Moore Park in County Cork 17%. Your predicted grass growth, rainfall, and soil temperatures for the coming 7 days: due to the cooler weather that we've been having, and again the excessive rainfall that has fallen in some parts of the country, growth predictions are reduced. The east and south are expected to grow in the region of between 50 and 55 kilos of dry matter per hectare, and again quite similar for the west and the south at between 50 and 60 kilos of dry matter per hectare for the coming 7 days. Soil temperatures are expected to stay between 14 and 15 degrees for the coming week. Your predicted rainfall for the coming 7 days: finally, rainfall amounts are expected to drop back, with around 10 to 50 millimetres of rain expected for the west and the northwest, and approximately single-digit figures of about 5 to 8 millimetres for the east and the south. The Grass10 tips for this week: huge variation exists on farm, as some areas of the southern half of the country have only received some rainfall in the last 7 days, and there are areas in the northern half of the country where land is absolutely saturated. We look at some of the weather station data from Teagasc. There are parts of the north of the country that have received 180 millimetres of rain for August, and there's parts of the south that have only received 45 to 50 millimetres of rain, and again are only coming out of a soil moisture deficit. Parts of the northern half of the country, as I said, have received excessive rain, particularly over the last 10 days, and leaving some parts of the farm saturated, and particularly on heavy soils farms, animals have had to be housed. The priority of grazing at the shoulders of the year in difficult conditions are to feed the animal, number one, to avoid damage, number two, and number three, to achieve residuals. High quality bale silage should be allocated on these farms in order to keep milk production steady. Avoid heavy covers of over 1,500 kilos of dry matter per hectare at the minute, and graze covers of between 12 to 1,400, which will help with graze outs. An improvement in the forecast is expected towards the weekend, which will hopefully improve the situation on these farms. Average farm cover is behind target for this time of the year, and growth rates are below normal at 47 kilos of dry matter per hectare on dairy farms. It's important to assess where you are in terms of the autumn grazing targets, and for farmers stocked at 3 livestock units per hectare at the minute, the target is between 250 to 300 kilos of dry matter per livestock unit and a 30-day rotation. Rotation length needs to be 30 days now in order to utilise whatever fertiliser is being spread this rotation. Continue to walk your farm weekly to follow the autumn targets. Rotation length must be extended to 30 days on your farm as we enter September. So for the 1st of September, a 30 hectare farm involves 1 hectare per day for grazing. As we come closer to the closing date of this year's Sustainable Grassland Farmer of the Year competition, don't forget to get your entry in. The competition recognises and acknowledges those dairy, beef and sheep farmers who are achieving high levels of grass utilisation in a sustainable manner. A reminder that this year's competition has 6 categories: dairy, dry stock, nutrient management and use efficiency, clover, organic farming and young farmer under 30. Each category winner will receive 5,000, and the overall winner will be selected from the category winners and receive an additional 5,000. And just to remind our listeners, if you're disappointed with 2024 so far on your farm, and this is putting you off entering the competition, not to worry. The Grassland Farmer of the Year panel will be looking at farm performance over the last 4 to 5 year period. Click on the link in this week's Grass10 newsletter for more information. Our featured farmer this week is Denis and Liam Kenny from Camolin in County Wexford. Average farm cover at the minute is 728 kilos dry matter per hectare. The cover per livestock unit is 225, and the growth rate's 53 kilos dry matter per hectare and demand of 45 kilos dry matter per hectare. Pre-grazing yield is at 1250 kilos of dry matter per hectare, and milk yield is still strong at 21 litres, 4.4 fat and 3.76 protein. From a grazing management point of view, the lads have started feeding silage to reduce demand as average farm cover is behind target. Next week, there's a plan to zero graze 15 acres of grass from an out farm to build cover. The plan for fertiliser on the farm is the lads have applied 26 units of protected urea for the previous round of fertiliser, and over the next week are going to blanket spread the farm with 30 units per acre of sulfocan. And lastly, on this week's podcast, a reminder of our upcoming Sustainable Grassland Farmer of the Year farm walk. Next week, the 4th of September, we're going to be in Killian Brennan's in Kilcogie, Upper County Cavan, who was a nutrient management category joint winner of the 2023 Sustainable Grassland Farmer of the Year competition. If you click into this week's Grass10 newsletter, you're going to see a promotional video for the event. So make sure to come along next week on the 4th of September at 11 a.m. on Killian's farm in Kilcogie in County Cavan. If you'd like to hear more from the Grass10 team, subscribe to the weekly Grass10 newsletter, which is available on the Grass10 page on the Teagasc public website, and a link to the newsletter is also available in the description of this podcast. This has been your Grass10 update, and I'll talk to you all next week.